After what feels like an eternity to load the track, hey, I'll call it the flight time to Long Beach, California. We'll be racing out on the street circuit, same as we did last time around, with a 12-car split brutally run at a 4.3k I rate. This might be one of the highest skill lobbies we've ever had here on the SOF series. Harry Burrows alongside Ron Marnes here to bring you some of the action, and he doesn't have the feed yet, so he's missed that incredible gag. So while I get that for you, Ron, you can talk us through this race.
Yeah, this track is absolutely fantastic. It's a staple of American auto racing, and I just saw that on the broadcast, so that is very, very nice indeed. I would explain that. That was a typo from another show that I was doing earlier on this year, and it is not just a reference to me being slightly rotund. But no, we absolutely adore Long Beach. It's a great racetrack. 11 turns in all. 11 turns of terror, I think, in these FF1600 cars. These cars rather infamous for being tricky to handle on a wide variety of racetracks. And when you've got a wide variety of racetracks to tackle throughout the season, it can be a pretty tough road. We're really looking forward to seeing what this round of the championship has in store.
Last season, this wasn't the draft fest we all thought it was going to be. Drivers took a shorter gear stack, and it very much became about surviving the melee into turn one. It was only a small mistake that sent somebody over the line, but it was a mistake nonetheless. Every driver's going to be hoping for a little bit better this time. I do feel like with 20, it could have been a risk of carnage. We'll see how many make it through with 12 familiar names and some brand new ones on the track. It's always good to see, I say it every week, so it's good to somehow see new ones make it anyway. Frederick Surley, season sponsor, worth thanking our free car today. We got to watch his car number as we go around. Also on the track, James Becker, who I keep thinking is a Pecker, Fraser Smith, Brandon Nagelvort, Graham, Rory Hunt, Ian Anderson, Daniel Case. The deliveries have not loaded. Timothy Parker Russell in the 8, Guy Robertson in the 9, Edward Shelley in the 10, Robert Tang in the 11, and Nato Brown in the 12. That makes a whole lot. Let's see if there's any laps on the board. They should just be starting to get through right about now. Some of these first laps on the board. Edward Shelley first across the line with the fastest, but here comes the flood. It's Fraser Smith on top. Then Timothy Parker Russell's got a lap to complete here. I think his first one actually was illegal. Same for Frederick Surley. A few drivers have made wall taps.
Yeah, and those are going to be a rather common occurrence here. It's a street track. Are you really expecting anything else? But even for a street track, this one is a little bit more conducive to having bits of contact with the barriers. Keep an eye on this turn number 8, right towards the back end of the circuit. The track bottlenecks big time from about, it usually feels about 8 car widths wide down into about 4. It's a huge cutback as you head your way into that section of the racetrack, so keep an eye to that maybe being a source of trouble, as well as this, what I like to call the parking lot section. Pave paradise and put up a parking lot. This is the only part of this racetrack that isn't actual roads, but it's still meant for cars, and cars usually occupy it more than race cars do, so we'll count it as such anyways. But this track, it's old school. It has been around the block for quite some time. I believe the first ever Long Beach Grand Prix was held all the way back in the 70s when Formula 5000 cars ran, became a part of the F1 calendar. IndyCar races here still, but now we've got these FF1600s, which are going to really highlight the challenges of this circuit.
That's going to be his only lap, because the first one, no it isn't, first lap wasn't illegal. I can't count laps on iRacing properly, but his first one is sick. James Becker hasn't set a legal one on the first go. I can confirm this, so this will be his only attempt across the line. Fraser Smith sets the bar of a 125.6, and James Becker has that last long straight to go. A 126.3 is going to be pretty good, but there's something about that top lap from Fraser which is talking rocket fuel to me.
Oh, that is a super quick lap time from him. We'll have to see whether or not the rocket fuel is plentiful throughout the entirety of the field, or whether or not we're going to see Fraser Smith run away with this win. We talked about the race last season, how it wasn't too heavy of a drafting track, despite the fact we have a massively long straightaway here. But we did see last season the driver who started from the pole convert that into a victory, and thus far this season we have seen that a grand total of I've only seen that grand total of 3 times, so we'll see if we can get a 4th here in round number 8 and make it 50-50 for pole sitters going on to win the race. See what Fraser Smith can do.
That's the final lap across the line for Frederick Surley. Happened so fast, we actually missed exactly where on the board it's going to be. But that's fine, because we've got a very, very, very small starting grid to talk through before the race begins. I just need to make sure I actually press the right buttons and get ourselves locked and loaded in place. Fraser Smith, only driver in the 125s, and the next one below is 7 tenths back. It's James Becker. Daniel Case is in 3rd. Frederick Surley made it up to 4th with that lap. Robert Tang lines up 6th next to Edward Shelley, and another Crayola car on the field. First car is 2nd back. Timothy Parker Russell is in 7th next to Graham Rory Hunt. Nato Brown takes up 9th next to Ian Anderson, and Guy Robertson is next to Brandon Nagelvoort, who did not get a legal lap on either attempt. That makes 12 cars. We had 24 sign-ups. It was so close to making it to 20, and we just missed it. Some people, I've had some pretty traumatic, painful experiences of this track over the last week, but I enjoy it in almost anything. I can run this in almost anything and feel in my element. I mean, next up we need Monaco, really.
Yeah, I get the exact same feeling whenever I'm running around a street circuit. I was actually doing that a little bit earlier on today on iRacing, was running a LMP2 car around the streets of the Chicago street course, and that combination was so much fun. I don't know what was in the air for me, but I really enjoyed it. Whenever you're on the limit of control, the limit of adhesion on a street course, it always feels so fun and so exhilarating. I'm breaking out the thesaurus for that one. Exhilarating to run at the limit of a street course. Of course, Long Beach, it's iconic. Everybody knows about this track. I've already talked about the challenges of it thus far, but this is also historic in terms of if you win here, you're going to join some elite company.
Fraser will be desperately hoping to convert a pole that good into a survival out of turn 1, but really, anything can happen here. Up the streets of Long Beach, we are green. Drivers getting off the line, normal as ever. I think that's Frederick Surley in the free car making quite the big move to the inside line. This is where bad things could go terribly wrong and go worse and worse and worse. Someone clipped the tyres last time around. Fraser looks pretty in control though of turn 1, and in fact, better than last season, we've all made it.
Everybody's gone through, everybody survived as they head their way through the found section, coming out of it into 4 and 5. Keep an eye on this turn. That's always a trouble spot. This downhill off-camber turn 5 with some curbs on the inside, the calzone curbs, as some have called it in the past, that are absolutely lethal. Poison calzone, if you would. I'll see myself at Daniel Case and Frederick Surley now going side by side in this battle for 3rd as Surley looks to jump into that P3 spot.
Big send for Frederick Surley on the inside. Doesn't quite get clear on exit. It's going to give him a bad line of deer, and that tyre wall comes out to punish you. He's going to take a tap from behind from Robert Tang. I cannot believe everybody's get this in one place. Robert Tang wasn't ready for the checkup on the exit, and that car almost went sideways and lethally into the wall. It's allowed James Becker, in fact, to run away. Daniel Case sort of leads that pack, and Frederick Surley drops the P6, but we're all alive in one piece. Frederick calls this the worst corner in all of motorsports. And while I don't agree, I think it's a reasonable argument to make. I don't think it's a terrible point. I do actually see satisfaction out of it, though.
Yeah, that turn is a broadcaster's dream. It's a tow truck driver's worst nightmare, and certainly an iRacer's worst nightmare as well. It's up there. It's an odd corner to be sure, but I don't know. Maybe we'll have to have a discussion at some point talking about our least favorite turns in the entirety of racing. Final turn at Shanghai springs to mind, but that's neither here nor there. In the meantime, though, we've got this field all running mostly packed together. That moment, though, coming out of turn number 8 involving Frederick Surley and Robert Tang has really allowed the front two to just drive away as Daniel Case currently battling with Edward Shelley.
I will replay that little car contact between the two once I pick the most inconvenient moment. Up the inside goes Robert Tang on Graham Rory Hunt. No way he's alongside for that. Backs out just in time. Now I'm going to try holding a very different line. He's certainly getting a bit racy around others, but backs out in time for Brandon Nagelvoort. By the way, I think you will need a critical news update. Give it in a second. Edward Shelley is drafting alongside Daniel Case. gets it done. We're seeing some drivers on that tall gear stack. They're going to be able to get draft moves done. Open setup series, so that decision on the gear stack really makes a decision on how you take this. After Andre Castro crashed out horrifically badly out of our Formula Ford Festival, he actually lost his pro license, went down to A1.00. Managed to make it back in time for F4 by doing what else but 2 full-length Grand Prix tours at Interlagos, one of which he won. I don't think we'll be seeing him back in the SOF anytime soon if he wants to maintain that brutal license, though.
Yeah, I feel a little bit bad. I actually mentioned that story on the final Radical Americas race that I was doing a little bit earlier on this month. It was about a week ago, 8 days ago, in fact, when I mentioned that story in a rather boring Radical SR10 race at Mid-Ohio. But I feel a little bit bad saying that because he's a great guy, very good racer as well. But even for a driver who finished the real-life Formula Ford Festival on the podium once back in 2021, shows you that the iRacing Formula Ford Festival, I'm not even sure the best way that I could describe that. That's pretty much just the Hunger Games mixed with the Purge, mixed with like a nuclear apocalypse.
Hey, it might won't know, and that's all that matters. Daniel Case might try the move on Shelley again. We'll see the difference in car setup. Very much does make a difference. He gets up close. He just doesn't really get alongside. You think he's within the range. But I remember there was a big discussion last season about gear stacks, and everybody settled on the medium one, which takes away that draft factor. Here comes Daniel Case, going to try it again. Fraser Smith, James Becker are just off in their own bubbles, 2 seconds away from each other, running their laps almost perfectly. It's going to take a self-inflicted error to ruin this race for Fraser Smith. That's another fastest lap on the books. Take it in. Just want to see how big the run is here. It's not looking spectacular. Brandon Nagelvort just getting past Graham Rory Hunt as well, going into the hairpin. Ian Anderson, Robert Tangbach, and Cantor will be dropping back and back and back. I think he has taken nose cone damage. We're going to have to look a little bit closer, but yes, he has. That's killing his top speed.
Yeah, and even though this track has so many turns throughout, that start-finish straightaway, the lead-up from the edge of the hairpin through into turn number 1, so disproportionately long in relationship to the rest of the track, and even the back straightaway as well between turns number 8 and 9. That nose cone damage is going to do you in big time, so I think unfortunately for Robert Tang, that scrabble that he got involved in a little bit earlier on really going to affect the way that the rest of his race will go. As we see this replay, you can see the side-by-side racing going up in front with Sorley, has to check up to avoid hitting the barrier. That's Tang nearly coming in for the kill on 2 separate occasions.
It amazes me that Frederick made it out of there alive, by the way. Let's just get one more look into the turn. So he sent a little bit wide. It's a pretty normal exit. And then that's like the moment he fears death, and he just has to do everything he can to get the car facing the one direction. I think Nato Brown has just crashed the car, by the way. I did hear a horrible noise a lap or 2 ago. Here's Nado's car. We'll see if anything happened. We'll see whether the wall came to claim. Oh, that is a slider wide. And that's going to be you down and out.
And I mentioned the trouble of turn number 8, but turn 9 equally as deadly. Heavy braking zone, lots of different painted lines, can be a little bit disorienting as you head your way up through there. Doubly so with the bumps that you have to deal with too. Very easy to either lock up a wheel and just go into that turn backwards and on fire, or you just go into that turn with way too much speed and either hit the fence on the outside or just take a quick little trip into the runoff area on the outside of the turn as well. Graham Rory Hunt with the spin heading off to the fence section. Very lucky that he only nudged it into the tire barrier there, and that he also didn't take out a car as someone was trying to rejoin. Lucky he didn't hit the flowers, though. I have heard from my own sources that if you run off the track through that section of the racetrack, you actually get slapped in the face with some of the fish that they have in the aquarium. Not sure if it's a bass or a squid or whatever it may be. What would be the worst fish to get smacked across the face with?
I was just asking if you ever played Hitman 2.
I have not. I think the most violent game that I've ever played is Minecraft.
Let's just say the first level of that game takes place in a street circuit in a sunny American city during a race where you could break into the local aquarium, get a fish, and hit people in the face with it. So, you know, I felt like that was a bit of an on-the-nose reference, really. Great game, by the way. Definitely try it out. But yeah, I know you've been prepping that little nugget of information. I mean, I guess you've got to live quite close to the area to find that sort of thing out. Edward Shelley leads the pack. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cars in line. Ian Anderson is at the, not quite on the back of it, it's Brandon Nagelvoort. So that makes it 5, and I'll learn how to count in time for next week. And oh, that's Brandon Nagelvoort. Never mind, there goes 1.
And turn 5 strikes again. Let's take a look at this to see what happened to him as he heads his way out there into 5 right now. Was it the curb? It was the curb. Got him all screwed up, hit the fence, noses it into the barrier, and that right there is a front left wheel completely shattered off of that race car. Turn 5 is, I mean, there's many turns around this track that are deadly, but I think turn 5 is probably the one that usually ticks me off the most.
There's something about the way you're trying to hop that curve on the inside and it just sends you up into the air real bad. Is Frederick Sully making the move for P5 on Parker Russell. Good pass executed in the parking lot. Now a couple more to go. I wondered if Parker Russell on exit was going to try and make that his own. In fact, we'll see whether he can make the draft effect quite happen on his own accord here. Now 4 seconds to lead for Fraser Smith, so I'm afraid we won't be showing much of him going around the track, but trust me, I presume it's going fine over there, I really do. Simply Parker Russell on that inside line, you get a big slowdown for crossing over that blue line on pit exit, so certainly sort of held him to that outside, told him he wasn't going to get that done. Love the sweeping camera, thank you Whiplash Sim Cams. I don't thank you enough on my stream sometimes. He doesn't do much road, but this is one of those tracks that really gets covered well. Nothing quite getting done here, but I do expect this is where it will all kick off.
As I just heard a driver screeching their wheels coming at turn number 5. There's no good way to go around turn number 5. There's only the least terrible. But I gotta say, despite the fact that we are nearing the halfway mark of this race, has been a rather smooth one. These racers, despite the occasional bit of drama, they've been keeping it smooth for the most part. So well done to all of them for running nice out there on the circuit and giving us a good race here today. As Frederick Sorley trying to chase down Daniel Case. This will be the battle for the final 2 spots inside the top 5. You can see them close up. Otherwise, Timothy Parker Russell will be the one to try and capitalize on that. I say that right as he runs wide into turn number 9, jinxing him right away. That's usually how it rolls with me. If I don't hit that commentator's jinx almost instantly, am I really doing my job as a commentator?
I mean, this is one of the only shows on Maconi Entertainment for the entire winter season. I mean, you look at that channel up there and you're like, oh, I guess the NASCAR season ended. Although worth shouting out, we have a charity race benefiting November at the end of the month. You can check out more information on the Maconi Setup Shop Discord, where you can sign up. You're not all into trucks at Daytona, but that's one of the big ones. So other than that, we got the end of the season to really roll out. Edward Shelley, Daniel Case, Frederick Sully, Timothy Parker Russell make up this top 4. I think let's take a little bit of a peek onto a P1 driver, and we'll take a look at quite how aggressively Fraser Smith tackles this track. He's made a 5-second advantage. Got to be on that balance, that bleeding edge of being, you know, fast and getting away, but also not pushing too hard and making a mistake, because there'll be nothing more heartbreaking than losing it here.
Yeah, at this point, with the lead that Fraser Smith holds, he can settle into the groove and just take it easy. He's still running at 10/10 though, and someone would look at that and say, oh, why is he running as hard as he is? As much as I said that he can settle into a groove, sometimes it's when you take it easy when those mistakes actually are the most detrimental. I'm sure you've been in a situation like this, Howie, as I have been on many occasions, both in the sim and in real life. You try and take it a bit careful, you don't really push the limits too hard, and that's when you loop it. When you let your mind wander a bit, it's usually when the mistakes can pile up, and you've got to be so dead on focus running here at Long Beach, even in a car like this. One small little trip up, either hitting a curb too much, missing an apex slightly, one mistake, and you're gone.
In a season so full of drama, you could have edited it into a Netflix series, particularly brutally. It's amazing we get away with Long Beach as the track where nothing quite happens that's going to make people upset at each other. Both of our wrecks have been self-wrecks in a very difficult car that only relies on mechanical grip. The weather is a lot cooler than last time around. It's worth shouting out, though. It was ridiculously hot last time around on the track surface. It sort of I think it boiled up everybody's pressure to the max. We're in the winter now, November 8th in Sim 27 on track. In American terms, that's pretty reasonable, pretty cool. Still seeing our 11 car Robert Tang try to make his way through. Yeah, damage nose cone affects his top speed, but he's not only trying to make that battle with Ian Anderson count.
See that battling is still going on for P6 and, well, it's not P6 and P7, it's P7 and P8, if I can read the graphics properly. But yeah, as you said, Howie, big change from the track conditions that we had last season here at Long Beach. As you said, scorching hot under that California sun. It was early on in season number 3 as well, so Captain guess we were probably running that race in probably the dead of the summer, so probably July or August at the very latest. So that was the reason why it was an absolute scorcher for that round of the championship. Here, however, running in November, California is pretty much one of the only states in the U.S. that mix with Arizona, where and New Mexico to a certain extent, where you don't really have a dedicated winter. Like here in my neck of the woods in the city of Philadelphia on the opposite coast of the U.S., we're looking at temperatures of like 50s and 40s, sometimes dipping into the high 30s Fahrenheit this time of year. In California, though, winter is pretty much just a time where it rains more often than not. Here, though, not having to worry about rain. We're just running a pretty strong race, and some nice conditions. We've gone from hot to warm in terms of the track.
Well, the rest of the season still has some thrillers on the way. 4 races to go. We go to Oran Park, Long Rest of Seoul, Sonoma race where we go to the short layout rather than the long run. It's going to be a slightly different run over the bridge later on when there's a small chance of rain, and oh boy, do you want to hit a puddle going down that hill. And where else to end the season for good than the cup layout of Watkins Glen, where I hope to see every car go the whole way wide on exit of turn 1 to take advantage of those new track limits. Let me put it like that. Most of these drivers, though, pretty much in tow. We are waiting for something to happen. I've never really quite sat there and waited for somebody to crash out here. Sometimes I want to have a clean day that there's nothing to regret about. This is just one of those where I'm now starting to tune in and starting to think that someone's got to be ready to make one of these moves. We've only got a few laps to go. We're on 11 out of estimated 15 over the course of this race, and I think everybody just wants to get their laps done and go home. Maybe I don't blame them.
Yeah, no, I can't blame them at all. If you leave a Long Beach race saying, hey, I was able to get out of this, I don't have to visit a therapist afterwards, both a mental therapist and a physical therapist. If you can go through that and be out on the other side of it, smelling like a bed of roses, that's a pretty dream scenario in my book. So I think that's part of the reason why these racers are taking it easy, running smooth, and on the subject of letting on in the rain, a Formula V series that I cover, the Formula V Weekend Warriors, that's the only Formula V series that I cover. We're going to be running in the rain at Let It On next weekend on Saturday at 3:30. See, we're at the point now with this show where I don't really care about the other broadcast that I'm on. It's business. You got to do what you got to do, I guess, potentially, or something like that. I don't really know. But no, Formula V in the rain at Let It On. I mean, that track is mega in terms of the elevation change that you've got through it. I'm thinking on going there and just seeing parts of the track that are completely underwater. That's what's popping into my head in terms of rain there, because that track is insane with the elevation change. There's nothing. I think in terms of like elevation change per every 1,000 foot, that track probably packs the biggest punch on iRacing.
It was certainly one of those decisions to make it a free one because it was quite a recent release, wasn't very popular. A bit of a slip-up head on the road there from Daniel K. So I wonder if Frederick's going to go for this. Here's Robert Tang trying to pass Ian Anderson. I think Ian might have made a horrible mistake on the middle of the corner, but the top speed of that 11 car just isn't there, and he tucks back in with almost like nothing quite happened. I want to catch maybe where Ian Anderson might have made a slip here, because it was unusual for Tang to sort of get up there in the first place. It must have been quite wide on this turn. Oh, there was a deep send again for Robert Tang. This time he actually gets it sort of more complete. He actually has managed to make it past in real-time pictures as well. I'm just going to not even play the transition. Let's catch how he actually gets it back past. Happened a few seconds later. I thought he wouldn't have the speed down this this back straight, which is long, but with the side, I'm going to call it the side draft in the Formula Fords, okay? With the side draft in the Formula Fords, he's able to get his way through, slot out in front, and Ian Anderson's back on this chase. Let me tell you, the moment I go back live, he's past him again. Well, that's what you get for being slow on the straights from a damaged front nose cone.
Yeah, I've been in that situation before, being like, oh yeah, a driver got moved on, then cut to the live action, and there we go. Swapperoo went on yet again. That's the damage that Tang picked up early on, really just snowballing from there. Thankful to say that it's only that. It could have been so much worse for the racers involved in that incident. They got out of it rather smooth as we look at the battling here with Daniel Case and Frederick Sorley. Case in that very nice Team Menard throwback scheme, but he's not going to be down in 5th as Frederick Sorley gets a move done, hanging down the back straightaway into turn 9.
Case has been giving some small amount of running commentary on the chat. I think he chose to give that one up when he knew his corner exit wasn't going to work out. Still a chance for him to potentially take it back. It's been a good duel between the two. I don't think we've seen the white flag fly when Fraser Smith crossed the line. That's how far ahead Fraser Smith is, by the way. I do not believe we've seen it. I actually have a dedicated camera for the flag stand, so we'll keep an eye. He is waving it. All right, make this the final lap for Fraser Smith then. The overlay doesn't know anything. We've not talked much about this guy, but let's be real. Very few people can have a run this dominant in this series where nothing has gone wrong and he's gotten faster and faster and faster.
Yeah, and if he can complete this final lap in style, he will add himself to some rather elite company up to this point in the season of drivers who've been able to convert a pole into a win. The only two to have done it thus far is Kieran Shanks and Thomas Fleming, who's actually been able to do it twice. But Fraser Smith looks to join that club as he heads his way down the back straightaway into turn 9 and through paved Paradise parking lot for the final time.
He may have had a lonely race out in the front, but to him that might be better than some of the alternatives. I'm expecting to see, the checker flag actually come out this time. Surly and Case still tangling over the last few turns, tripping over each other as Fraser Smith celebrates across the line in style for... I don't think you'd call it an easy win. There's no such thing as an easy win around here, but it was a very stress-free win. James Becker had a very stress-free race in P2 as well, 8 seconds back, but not much getting in his way. I think Frederick Sorley is going to take that P3 over Daniel Case, which got pretty close.
It was a pretty close fought race for all of these competitors from the start through to the finish. Didn't see the bare knuckle fist fights that we usually do see, but it's nice to have a race where nobody's PO'd with each other. We're not going to see anybody try and threaten each other's lives. Nobody's going to get arrested. It's, for a state that usually has a little bit of chaos. I mean, Long Beach isn't too far away from Compton. It's nice to see a little bit of calmness out there here in the California sun.
Got to make it the California winter to get something different into all of us. Fraser Smith leads over 8 seconds over James Becker. Edward Shalley finishes third ahead of Frederick Sorley. Beats out Daniel Case in a battle to the line. Timothy Parker Russell is 6th. Ian Anderson 7th. Robert Tang is 8th. Guy Robertson's 9th. And Graham Rory Hunt is 10th, just behind Brandon Nagelvort. That's not even a hard name to get right. And Nato Brown finished the race, but both took serious damage after self-made incidents on the track. It was a hard one out there, and it still was just a little bit slippy. Not too much to reflect upon today, Ron, although maybe that makes our day just a little bit easier, but maybe you might want to reflect on the future. We're getting down to Oran Park next week. One of those old free tracks. Hasn't seen much of an update in a while, but it is certainly a little bit of a classic.
Yeah, Oran Park, sadly a track that has gone the way of the Dodo Bird. They scanned it originally just to preserve it onto iRacing. It is a fantastic racetrack, though. Puts on some good racing, and it's also a figure 8 in an odd sense, because the track does go over itself. So I'll look to see what sort of style of racing we get at that old school blast from the past Australia circuit next time out. I'm looking forward to it as we get to the end of the season. Some rather intriguing racetracks to look ahead to here in Season 4 of 2025.
I was one of the people responsible for convincing him to put the cut layout of Watkins Glen on there. So you couldn't put your ire at me if that goes wrong at the end of the season. Anyway, hold up. That's not right. That's how you spell it. I've been Howie Burrows alongside Ron Mons. Thank you very, very much for watching.